I'm going on a trip with another man this weekend, and I really don't care what you think. That's what my wife said. Standing in our kitchen, sipping green juice like she was ordering brunch. Not a shred of guilt in her voice. Just that smirk, cold, smug, and cruel. She didn't flinch. Didn't soften it. Didn't even try to lie. She was proud. That was the moment something in me snapped, but not the way she expected. I didn't shout. I didn't cry. I didn't ask who he was. I just looked her straight in the eye and said, calm as ever, "That's perfect. Because tomorrow you'll be my ex-wife." The smirk vanished. She didn't see that one coming. Let's rewind, not for her sake, but for yours. So you understand how I got here. My name's Jason. I'm 34. I used to think I had the kind of marriage people envied. Madison and I had the perfect Instagram relationship, vacations, matching workout pics, wine on the patio. But what the photos didn't show was the shift. The slow decay. The way she'd pull away when I reached for her. The way her laughter at my jokes got shorter. The way her phone never left her side, not even when she showered. I'm not stupid. I noticed the late nights at the office. The sudden interest in solo trips. The fake girls' nights out where no one ever tagged her in stories. I didn't want to believe it. I made excuses for her. She's just stressed, I told myself. She's figuring things out. But deep down, I knew. Still, nothing prepared me for her saying it out loud. Like it was nothing. Like she was doing me a favor by being honest. It was just once, she said later. And besides, can a one-time affair really destroy our marriage? She actually said that. Like screwing another guy was the equivalent of forgetting to take the trash out. That day in the kitchen, she tossed that line at me like a challenge. She thought I'd fall apart. She thought I'd beg her to stay. She thought I was weak. But here's the thing about betrayal. It doesn't just break you. It sharpens you. I had known something was off for months. And while she was off with her coworker Liam, I wasn't sitting around crying into a pillow. I was digging. Quietly. Strategically. I found receipts, hotel bookings, messages she thought were deleted. I even paid a guy I knew in IT to recover her old WhatsApp backups. Let's just say, there was a lot. This trip? It wasn't their first. And definitely not their last plan. But it would be the last time she underestimated me. I let her walk out that door thinking she was in control. I let her believe I was just some sad, clueless husband who'd be home crying while she played fantasy with her gym bro affair. What she didn't know. By the time she'd land, I'd already frozen our joint accounts. Changed the locks. Blocked her card access. And filed for divorce. I even moved half our furniture into storage. Left her suitcase full of expensive clothes on the lawn. Petty? No. Strategic. Because this isn't just a story about getting cheated on. It's about what happens when you stop playing nice. And trust me, I'm just getting started. She left around 11 a.m. Saturday. Carried her designer duffel bag like she was heading to a spa, not a secret weekend getaway with the guy who'd been sending her gym thirst traps for the last 3 months. Her goodbye was casual. Don't wait up. With a little wink. She didn't look back. And that was fine. Because while she was driving to Liam's rental cabin upstate, blasting whatever trashy playlist she'd made for their little escape, I was laying out the pieces of a plan I'd been building quietly for weeks. The night I first suspected something real was going on, it was mid-February. She came home late, smelling like a cologne I didn't wear. Her excuse? The Uber driver sprayed something strong. I nodded. Said nothing. But that scent burned into my brain. That same night, I checked our shared laptop. She hadn't logged out of her Gmail. Rookie mistake. In the trash folder, a confirmation email for a couple's massage booked under the name Maddie and L. 2 weeks ago. I didn't confront her then. I screenshotted everything. Saved it to a flash drive. Silent war began that day. Now back to Saturday. While she was sipping wine with Liam, I was standing with my lawyer, Andrew, a no BS kind of guy who's dealt with enough affairs to know how brutal these cases can get. We filed for divorce under irreconcilable differences, with all evidence attached. I wasn't giving her a chance to play victim later. Everything was documented. After that, I called Chase and froze our joint account. Transferred my paychecks to a private bank. I let her keep the Apple Card, only because I knew she'd try to use it at some boutique, and it would get declined. And that would be my little hello. By 5 p.m., I was at home packing her things. Not with anger, but precision. Every designer piece she bought with our shared income, boxed. Every photo of us together, shredded. I left her a note on the bed. Hope your trip was worth everything you're about to lose. She hadn't texted me all day. Not once. Of course not. She was too busy getting fake affection from Liam, the cool coworker, who still lived with his mom 6 months ago. The guy who wore protein shaker bottles like accessories. Real winner. But here's the best part. What Madison didn't know was that her trip was being tracked. Literally. I had installed a tile tracker in the lining of her suitcase months ago when I started suspecting something. I saw exactly where they were. A cabin in Lake Arrowhead. Remote. Romantic. Typical. I thought about driving up there. Kicking the door in. Dragging Liam out by his fake tan and putting a fist through his six-pack. But no. That's what you would expect. A reaction. Emotion. Drama. Instead, I made a different call. To Liam's wife. Yeah. You read that right? See, Liam wasn't single. He just acted like it. His wife, Natalie, was a schoolteacher in San Diego. I found her through a reverse search of his social profiles. Took screenshots of every message between him and Madison, him begging for videos, her telling him how Jason's just a boring loser. Nice, right? When I called Natalie, she was polite at first. Until I told her why I was calling. Then she went dead quiet. Then she cried. Then she asked for the proof. I sent it. She said she was going to ruin him. I said, me too. And we made a little pact. Because if there's one thing stronger than a pissed-off husband, it's a betrayed wife with nothing to lose. By the time Sunday morning rolled around, the real fun was just beginning. Sunday morning? 7:13 a.m. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I knew exactly who it was before I answered. I didn't sleep all night, Natalie said, her voice raw but steady. I looked through his emails, his texts, even his backup cloud. It's worse than I thought. I sipped my coffee, leaned back in my chair, and stared at the spot where Madison's framed wedding photo used to hang. Yeah. They're both garbage. But now we know. She paused for a moment, and then she said something I didn't expect. Let's make them regret it. That was the moment the game changed. Natalie was sharper than I imagined. She wasn't some naive, broken housewife. She was calm, collected, and vengeful. She'd already forwarded me hotel receipts from trips Liam claimed were company conferences. Dates lined up perfectly with Madison's sudden business meetings. We compared notes. Talked through timelines. Pieced together the full scope of how long this had been going on. 7 months. Dozens of meetups. Some of them in our homes, while we were working late shifts or away visiting family. That one nearly made me hurl. Madison had brought that clown into my house, into our bed. The same bed I bought with my bonus check. The one we shared for 5 years. I kept thinking, how many times had she smiled at me afterward, pretending nothing was wrong? And then I stopped thinking. I started planning. Natalie said she wanted to confront them face to face, but not in some screaming match or dramatic slap fight. No. She wanted control. She wanted to break them with the truth and let the silence do the damage. I had a better idea. Let's ruin their weekend. We had everything we needed. Their location, their schedule, even a few digital receipts from DoorDash orders Liam dumbly used his real name for. They were settled in. Comfortable. Which made it the perfect time to pull the rug. So I booked a private message through a food delivery service to the cabin. 1 bottle of cheap champagne. 1 chocolate cake. With a note taped inside the box. In my handwriting. Hope it tastes as good as betrayal. Madison, check your bank account. Liam, call Natalie. 20 minutes later, I got a text. From Madison. Maddie, 9:26 a.m. What the actual F*** is this? Asterisk. Maddie, 9:28 a.m. Jason, don't do this. Stop. You're being crazy. Maddie, 9:29 a.m. I told you it didn't mean anything. Why are you trying to ruin my life? I didn't reply. Instead, I forwarded all her texts to Natalie. 10 minutes later, Liam called Natalie. I don't know what exactly was said, but I do know this. Within the hour, Liam's name was removed from their shared apartment lease, his gym membership cancelled, and his Venmo locked. Madison? She tried calling 6 times. Then she emailed me. Subject line, let's talk. The body of the email was 3 paragraphs of excuses, gaslighting, and one pathetic sentence that stood out. I didn't think you'd take it this far. I thought you still loved me. That's the thing. I did love her. Once. Deeply. But love dies quick when it's stabbed in the back and mocked on the way down. She gambled on my silence. She thought I'd take the hit like a punching bag, sit in the ruins, and cry into the shadows while she explored freedom. But no. I hit back. And I hit smart. Because sometimes the most satisfying revenge isn't screaming. It's letting them destroy themselves, and just holding up the mirror. Madison showed up at the house Sunday evening, stormed in like nothing happened, like she still had a place there. She banged on the door until I opened it, standing there like a goddess of delusion in a trench coat, messy hair, and makeup smudged from what I could only guess were tears. Or rage. What the hell is wrong with you? She snapped the second the door creaked open. No. Hi. No apology. Just fury. I didn't say anything. Just stepped aside, letting her walk in, because this conversation wasn't happening on my porch. She paced the living room like a rabid animal, flinging her arms. You froze our accounts? You embarrassed me in front of Liam? You sent his wife a cake? Are you insane? I leaned on the counter and looked her dead in the eye. No, Madison. I'm not insane. I'm just done. She scoffed, loud, dramatic, like I'd said something ridiculous. Done? Over what? A one-time mistake? I almost laughed. She still thought this was about one time. I pulled out the flash drive and dropped it on the table. Everything's on there. Every message, every hotel receipt, every photo. I know about Chicago. I know about San Diego. I know about the time you faked being at your mom's while you were in his bed. That shut her up. She didn't sit down. She didn't cry. She didn't even look sorry. Instead, she went cold. Like a switch flipped. So what now, Jason? You're just gonna throw away everything we've built? We? I laughed. I couldn't help it. Built what, Madison? A life where I work 50 hours a week while you run around with some wannabe fitness trainer? A life full of lies and smug little smiles while you sneak off and act like I'm just furniture? She crossed her arms, staring me down like I was the problem. You were boring. You stopped trying. Everything with you became routine. You were always tired. Always stressed. I felt invisible. That hit harder than I expected. But not because it hurt. Because I realized how far she'd convinced herself that she was the victim. That cheating was just a symptom of a neglected wife. I shook my head. You felt invisible? Try being the guy who paid for everything, supported every one of your career shifts, sat through your Instagram photo shoots, and still came home hoping maybe, just maybe, you'd look at me like you used to. You want to talk about invisible? I was a ghost in my own damn house. She didn't flinch. No guilt. No apology. Just more venom. You're pathetic, she said under her breath, grabbing her purse. You think you're some big man because you got revenge? You're still the same boring loser I cheated on. And right there, I felt something crack inside me, but not pain. Freedom. She thought that insult would crush me. Instead, it untethered me. There was no love left. No confusion. No. Maybe she'll change. Just the raw, clean break I needed. You're right, I said, walking toward the door and opening it wide. I was pathetic. For staying. For trusting. But not anymore. This is me waking up. And you? You're done here. She stood there for a moment, expecting me to fold. I didn't. She walked out, heels clicking like the sound of a chapter ending. I didn't slam the door. I closed it, locked it, and felt the silence afterward like peace for the first time in months. That night, I poured myself a drink. Not to forget, but to toast. To endings. To truth. And to the woman I no longer had to pretend to love. 2 days passed. No texts. No calls. No fake apologies. And then, Tuesday morning, I got a notification that someone had tried to access my iCloud. 3 times. From an unknown device. Madison. She couldn't help herself. She wanted to see what else I had. What I might have missed. What she could try to spin. That same afternoon, the real message came through. Not from her number. From a burner. Unknown, 2:04 p.m. Jason. I need to talk to you. In person. Please. I didn't reply. I didn't even flinch. I just took a screenshot and sent it straight to my lawyer with the caption, "She's starting the pity act. Watch for manipulation." He replied, "You're doing great. Don't meet her alone." I knew that already. But deep down, I was curious, what lie would she pull next? Thursday morning, she showed up again. This time, dressed down. Hoodie, no makeup, hair in a messy bun. She looked like someone trying to play humble. Like the girl I used to love. But I wasn't falling for old tricks. She knocked gently. Not banging. Not raging. Just soft taps. Like guilt. I opened the door but didn't invite her in. "What do you want?" I asked. Her eyes got glassy. "I made a mistake, Jason." "No. You made a choice," I corrected. She took a step forward. "Please. Just let me explain. Let me say something without you already deciding I'm lying." I let her speak. Not because I cared. But because I wanted to see how far she'd twist it. I never meant for it to go that far. Liam was he made me feel alive again. Like someone actually saw me. I blinked. "Like someone saw you?" "Madison, I saw you every damn day. I carried you, supported your ideas, paid for your failed business ventures, sat at dinner tables while you stared at your phone, and you want to talk about feeling seen?" Tears now. Of course. I didn't know how to fix what we had, Jason. We were just broken, and I panicked. "No," I said coldly. "You got bored. And instead of communicating, you started playing dress up with another man while I was breaking my back trying to keep us afloat." She sniffled, wiped her nose on her sleeve. "We can go to therapy. Work through this. We still have time." There it was. The delusion. The switch back to bargaining. I stared at her, really stared. At the woman I used to believe was my future. At the woman who slept with another man and still thought she deserved grace. "You remember that morning?" I asked. "When you told me you were going away with someone else and laughed in my face like I was a joke?" She went quiet. "That was the last time I saw my wife. And now? All I see is a stranger trying to get back what she threw away." She opened her mouth, but I closed the door before she could speak. She texted again later that night. "Maddie, 9:47 p.m. You really don't care anymore, do you?" She wanted a response. A sign that I was still emotionally tethered. Still bleeding somewhere inside. But I wasn't. She confused my silence for weakness. What she didn't know was that silence was my victory. That was the last time I ever spoke to her. Because forgiveness doesn't always look like giving someone a second chance. Sometimes it looks like shutting the door and never opening it again. By the end of that week, I knew she was losing control. People started reaching out. Old friends. Her cousin. Even a guy from our gym I hadn't spoken to in 6 months. Every message had the same flavor. "Hey man, Madison says you blindsided her. She's telling people you cheated first. I just wanted to hear your side." That's when I realized she wasn't crawling back out of love. She was trying to save her image. Madison always cared more about appearances than reality. She couldn't stand being the villain. So she flipped the story. Told people I'd been distant, that I'd probably been unfaithful first, that she tried to fix our marriage but I was emotionally unavailable. Funny. She didn't seem too emotionally invested while she was sneaking off to luxury hotels with Liam and filming herself in lingerie for someone else's phone. But here's what she forgot: I'm not the type to sit back and watch someone rewrite history. So I made sure the truth had a voice. I didn't go nuclear. No angry posts. No rage tweets. No public meltdowns. I played it like a surgeon, cold, clean, precise. One night, I uploaded a private video to a select group of mutual friends. Just 3 minutes long. No accusations. No drama. Just screenshots. Dates. Names. A voice memo of Madison laughing while talking about how Jason will never find out. A calm narration from me laying out the timeline. No emotion. Just facts. And people listened. Because the truth, when delivered without fury, hits harder. The responses started pouring in. Jesus, man. I'm sorry. I had no idea. She said the exact opposite. She tried texting me again. Maddie, 11:13 p.m. Why are you dragging my name through the mud? This is cruel, Jason. Cruel? I laughed. Out loud. Alone in my living room. She thought I was dragging her by showing people what she actually did. That's when I realized Madison didn't want forgiveness. She wanted a reset button. She wanted to pretend the affair was just a glitch, something we could sweep under a rug and never mention again. That I'd come crawling back eventually, that she could play the misunderstood wife, and that everyone would pity her while I faded into the background like a bad chapter. But that chapter? It's getting published. The divorce process began to heat up. Her lawyer, some smug little rich boy fresh out of law school, called mine with a list of demands. Half the house value. Half my savings. Spousal support. Even the dog. I laughed when Andrew told me. She's delusional, I said. Andrew agreed. She thinks this is a negotiation. It's not. It's clean up. We had every receipt. Every lie. Every financial record showing she hadn't contributed a cent in over a year. Her affair wasn't just personal, it was financial abandonment. We filed under marital misconduct, and the judge? Not impressed with her. She tried to fake remorse in court. Tried to cry. Said she just wanted to feel alive. The judge nodded politely. Then looked at the stack of evidence we'd submitted. Cold silence. Verdict: no spousal support. Minimal asset division. Dog stays with me. Full control of the house. Madison's face was pale when she left the courtroom. And I stood there calm. Not gloating. Just breathing again. Because finally, the mask was off. Not just for me, but for everyone. Let her keep the lies. I had the truth. 1 month after the court ruling, Madison's life started to collapse like the house of cards it always was. And this time, I wasn't even pushing. She did it to herself. First came the job. Apparently, her company didn't take too kindly to the HR complaint filed by Natalie, Liam's wife. It turns out, hooking up with a married coworker during work trips doesn't sit well when you're the face of a client-facing marketing firm. Especially when there's photo evidence. She got fired. Then Liam, her knight in protein shaker armor, ghosted her. Completely. From what Natalie told me, he tried crawling back to his marriage. Promised it was just a dumb mistake, and begged forgiveness. But the moment Madison got fired and started texting him constantly, Liam bailed. Unfollowed her on everything. Blocked her number. She was alone. But still, she kept the performance going. She posted inspirational quotes on Instagram like, "Sometimes we fall to rise stronger." One selfie with fake tears in the caption, "Healing isn't linear." But behind the filtered facade, she was spiraling, and people were starting to notice. Remember those mutual friends she tried to sway to her side? They weren't buying it anymore. I didn't have to say a word. The truth had already done the talking, and her lies were starting to smell. She messaged my friend Chris, out of nowhere. "Maddie, 2:18 a.m. Jason won't even hear me out. Can you talk to him? Just get him to respond?" Chris sent me the screenshot and followed it with, "She's falling apart. Don't worry. Nobody's buying it." I wasn't worried. By now, I was in a different place, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. I wasn't angry. I wasn't sad. I was just done. It's amazing how much clearer the world looks when the poison is out of your system. I'd started rebuilding. Quietly. Got back in the gym. Reconnected with friends I'd pushed away trying to make a doomed marriage work. Even booked a short trip to Colorado, alone. Just me, the mountains, and clean air. No fake smiles. No lies under silk sheets. Just peace. Meanwhile, Madison kept clawing for attention. She started texting me again. Maddie, 11:04 p.m. I miss you. Can we just talk like humans? Maddie, 11:11 p.m. I made a mistake, but I've changed. Maddie, 11:23 p.m. You're really just going to throw away everything? She still didn't get it. She still thought I was mad. Hurt. Waiting for her to prove something. What she didn't understand was that I wasn't holding a grudge. I was holding a door shut. Because letting her back in would be like rescuing a match from the fire, and wondering why your fingers keep getting burned. So I didn't respond. Not once. That silence? It broke her more than yelling ever could. 2 weeks later, she posted a story on Instagram, a black screen, with, "I'm not okay," written in white text. The likes were few. The comments quiet. No more sympathy. Just the slow unraveling of someone who thought the world would always take her side, no matter how many people she betrayed. That's the thing about being the villain in someone else's story. Eventually, everyone sees you for who you are. And Madison? She burned every bridge she had. Now she was just standing in the ashes, wondering why no one was offering her a ride. It's been 6 months. Half a year since I shut the door in Madison's face and didn't look back. Half a year since I took the weight off my chest, the knife out of my back, and the illusion out of my mind. And now, standing here, free, focused, alive, I finally understand what that betrayal gave me. Clarity. Let me be real with you. I didn't walk away from the wreckage a hero. I walked away bruised. Torn. Exhausted. The pain didn't vanish overnight. For weeks, I'd wake up and feel that dull echo of, "How the hell did I let this happen?" replaying in my head. Her laugh. That smirk. The way she made me feel like I was the boring one. Like I was the dead weight dragging the marriage down while she was out, finding herself, between hotel sheets with someone else's husband. But pain is temporary. Self-respect? That's permanent. I've learned something most men don't get taught. You don't win by begging for someone to love you right. You win by realizing you never needed that kind of love in the first place. Love doesn't lie. Love doesn't sneak off for weekends and come back with perfume that's not yours. Love doesn't gaslight you into thinking you're the villain while they're doing dirt behind your back. Madison taught me that. She also taught me that walking away isn't weakness, it's war strategy. You don't fight to stay where you're not respected. You fight to rebuild where your value is recognized. And rebuild I did. I got my health back. My energy. My creativity. Hell, I even started a side business that I'd been putting off for years. Something in me came alive again the second I wasn't being drained by her chaos. I started meeting new people. Real ones. The kind that listen when you speak, not just wait for you to finish so they can lie next. I've dated a bit. Nothing serious. But I don't chase anymore. I watch. I listen. I pay attention to how someone treats a waiter, talks about their ex, carries themselves when they think no one's watching. Because I've lived through betrayal with perfect makeup and fake apologies, and I'll never go back to that. Let me speak to any man reading this, or watching this, who feels like the ground just dropped out from under his life. You are not weak for feeling pain. You are not broken for loving someone who didn't deserve it. But you are a fool if you stay in the fire hoping it stops burning. Let them go. Not for revenge. Not to win. But because you can't grow in poisoned soil. Madison reached out again last week. One last message. Maddie, 10:22 p.m. I heard you're doing well. I'm happy for you. I wish things had been different. I didn't reply. Not because I hate her. But because I finally love myself more than I ever loved her. Her chapter in my life is closed. Not burned. Not ripped out. Just done. It's in the past. And I don't reread stories that made me feel small. So here's to every man who's ever been betrayed. Stand up. Clean your wounds. Fix your crown. And walk the hell out. You owe them nothing, but you owe yourself everything.